TV. I'm Kate Northrup, and I am here with Tara Mohr, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you her book today, which is going to be maybe backwards, I don't know, but anyway, it's called Playing Big. Find your voice, your mission, your message, and this is my very dog-eared, noted-up copy. I got this book, and I don't know about you, Tara, but I get, I don't get a lot of books, but like, I get books, right, to read. And
steady stream.
Yeah, steady stream. And yours came right as I was preparing for my wedding. And I didn't have a lot of, I wasn't really working much, and I didn't have a lot of free time, but I started reading like the first couple of pages, and I was so excited that you wrote this book because I know so many women who need to read this book, including myself, and it was so clear right from the beginning. I was like, oh, she so gets the issues, and you're really specific about it. What I love about this book is how specific you are about the ways that we play small. Like, this is not a general book. This is like, hey, babe, stop using just all the time in your emails. I mean, like, really specific. So can you talk to people a little bit about, like, was there a moment for you when you realized you were playing small? Or was there kind of one of those catalyzing, like, oh man, it's time to step up here type of things?
There was. I really lost my way from my playing big in college and graduate school. Not so much in my teenage years. I pursued what I loved, writing and theater and dance and all of that, and felt really connected to myself, and then lost my way very much in college and graduate school and at the beginning of my career. So for me, it was when I was coming up on my 30th birthday, and that event made me feel like, oh, like this is your adult life, and whatever you're doing now is by definition what you're doing in your adult life. And this is kind of it. And what did happen to those childhood dreams? Why are you facing the fact? Why are you feeling like life is happening a little bit in black and white instead of full color? Why are you feeling so afraid to really share your voice? And that started me on a path of career change. And part of that path was then working with other women and coaching other women, because I had a lifelong passion for personal growth and psychology. And then I started seeing this common theme of women playing small, but as you're saying, playing small in specific ways and highly sophisticated ways. Yeah. Because the thing about brilliant women is we come up with brilliant ways to play small while convincing ourselves we're diligently working towards our dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them, I just want to point out, because I know the women listening to this do some of these things. So I want to point out a few of the most common ones that you wrote about so brilliantly in your book. Like here's when you know you have a really great book. It's when it describes things so well that you realize you were totally aware of, but it's the first time anyone's ever articulated it. So it's like such a poignant reminder of what you already know to be true, and then it was like, I mean, I literally couldn't put your book down. I was reading it every morning when I was having my breakfast on my deck in about the month leading up to the wedding. And I'll just share a personal testimonial, I suppose, which is, okay, so people who hang out on my site and stuff probably would think that I play big, but there's plenty of ways in which I still play small. So reading your book was so amazing, because leading up to a wedding is a time, it is, yes, of course, it was about me and Mike, but it's also a time of being on display in a way, and like it's very personal, but it's also very public in this strange way. And I will just share that partially from reading your book and realizing some ways that I play small, I really played big on that day. Like, I didn't apologize for any of the weird, wacky things that I wanted to do at the wedding. I didn't apologize for the joy. Like, I didn't tone it down. So I just want to say thank you, because reading this book was part of what gave me permission to just be all that I could be on that really special day.
That's so awesome. And it's funny because it happens for a lot of women that they might come to my work for professional reasons, but then they'll say, wow, this is actually affecting how I was able to stand up for my dad when he was in hospice care, or how I'm doing parenting. So thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to get to identifying a couple of key things that really smart, sophisticated women do to play small. But first, can you just tell us what playing big means to you, for those of us who might have a preconceived notion?
Right, because a lot of times we hear playing big and we're like, oh, that sounds exhausting and like stressful, and also is that even sustainable for the planet if everyone's playing big? Like, isn't that part of the problem, right? So my definition of playing big is it's not about playing big on the world's terms. It's not traditional external markers of success, big fame. It's not even necessarily a bigger paycheck or a more prestigious title. It is playing big according to what playing big truly means to you. So each woman usually knows, if we're willing to let go of our rationalizing away our dreams, we know what we're copping out on in terms of our real aspirations for our life and our career. And for me, fundamentally, playing big is being more loyal to your dreams than to your fears.
Okay, playing big is being more loyal to your dreams than to your fears. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's really, really good. I think I'll put that on my bulletin board. And my friend Megan Watterson, who wrote the book Reveal, says that what she's found is that when she moves in the direction of fear, fear only increases.
Yeah.
Have you found that to be the case? And can you talk a little bit about how fear comes into play when we're talking about playing big or moving towards that?
Yes. I think of it almost like fear and also self-doubt. They're like chronic illnesses. And so if we don't actively treat them and work to manage them, they persist and they get worse. Yeah. And fear absolutely goes hand in hand with playing big. There's so much conversation right now about women and confidence in the professional world, in the coaching world. And it's funny because some people would think, my work is about helping women be more confident. And it can have that result. But I believe we don't actually need to be more confident, and we don't need to be fearless. That self-doubt is part of the problem, but confidence isn't the answer. The answer is having a new relationship to our self-doubt. And in the book, you probably remember, there's some amazing quotes from women who are at the very top of their fields, talking about every time I embark on a new project, I'm sure this is the one that's going to fail. I never feel qualified enough. So I just see no evidence that the confident day is coming. But I do know that there's, that inner critic, what I call the inner critic 101 training, that we can get to learn to manage self-doubt, and also tools we can use to manage fear, so that when those things come up as we're playing bigger, as they always will, we can keep going in spite of them. And that's for me what it's about. It's, in fact, just this morning I was editing. I have a first ever piece I've written for the New York Times coming out on Friday. So for me, playing big is it's like I am sitting here editing the piece while there's the other track in my head going, there's no way. There's obviously been a misunderstanding. You don't know how to sound grown up enough to be in the New York Times. All the voices, right?
Totally.
It's literally the act of taking action in spite of that. Yeah. And same thing with fear. And another piece that I love, this teaching that I share in the book, is about two different kinds of fear, and these two different words for fear.
This part.
Thank you. That are actually from the Old Testament in the Hebrew Bible. One of the words for fear is pachad, and that's our overreactive, irrational, worst case scenario.
Fight or flight.
Yes, fight or flight fear. There's this other kind of fear called yirah, And Yura has 3 definitions. It's the feeling we feel when we're inhabiting a larger space than we're used to. It's the feeling we feel when we're suddenly in possession of more energy than we normally feel. And it's what we feel when we're in the presence of the divine. And that is what we feel when we're playing big. And our work then is simply to know that for what it is and to savor it in the moment and move in it.
That totally makes me cry. I'm just like, I literally just read that before we got on Skype, but there's something about you saying it. Mm-hmm. That piece about, the surge of energy we feel that's an unusual amount of energy, or I love the first definition, the feeling that we have when we're inhabiting a space that's bigger than usual, which of course could be literal, right? If you're in a large ballroom or something, but also I feel like that's an energetic thing when we do step into that space that's bigger than we're used to, whether it's a stage, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's, starting a blog or speaking up to somebody or telling somebody no, or, it's exhilarating and it's terrifying simultaneously, right? That was really beautiful. So before we wrap up, I want to just ask you, I'll have you say it rather than me, but what are like the top 3 specific ways that you see really smart women playing small in sort of almost insidious ways that they may not even be aware of?
Yes, our favorite, our hiding strategies.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of them is education seeking, compulsive education seeking. And sometimes in those of us that are into personal growth, that can take the form of workshop seeking, certification, training. So I'll often hear brilliant women saying, I'm interested in this area, so I think my playing big is going to be to apply for this master's or PhD. And it's like, it's the very, very rare case where I will allow that without comment. Totally. Because usually when a woman says that, she already has some point of view or idea she wants to bring forward in her subject area. And I'm fine with her getting the master's or PhD, but what I'll often try and do in my work with women is have them find a way that they're living that playing big or sharing their voice and perspective right away. Yes. And if they're already doing that, so it's like, okay, host your informal workshop for 10 of your friends on, your views about aging before you go get a PhD in gerontology. And if you've done 3 of the workshops and you're finding that's really fun and you still want the PhD and you want to do it simultaneously, great. But let's make sure we're not assuming the PhD is a necessary step on the way to doing. So education seeking, big one. Another one is collecting and curating other people's voices on a topic instead of sharing your own. Totally. So this, I tell a story in the book of a woman who was had spent a lot of time doing international diplomacy work and peacekeeping work and wanted to, she had sort of realized that she felt such a sense of futility in that work, and so many of her colleagues did too, and wanted just to write about that. And I was like, that's so important, right? Like, we have these people going into Afghanistan and intractable situations and the burnout and the futility they feel, really interesting topic. And then she said, this is going to be so great. I'm going to go talk to my colleagues and gather their views about it and put them together. It's like, wait a second. You already have something to say about this. Like, let's set the frickin' egg timer and you write your op-ed piece and let's see where that can go. Yes. So where are you sidestepping your own voice and instead collecting or curating other people's voices? And then a third one is what I call this, then that, which is sort of stories we make up about A needs to happen before B needs to happen before C. So, I want to start a business on this, so I need to get a website, so I need to hire a website developer. So now I'm on the 7-year savings plan. So we look at, okay, how can you, find some small, lightweight, inexpensive way to start living the playing big now.
Totally. It's so great. And then I also love that you call out, I'll just say this last thing, that you call out the mentoring thing. and that really I'll just, I don't remember the word for when you take somebody else's words and put them in your own, but anyway,
paraphrase.
Yes, I'm going to paraphrase. Thank you. That's the word. So the part where you said that we don't actually need mentors because so many women are charting new paths and we're pioneers and we're doing things in a different way than the people before us did them, than our mothers or our mothers' mothers, or even, not our mothers, but the generation, in between us and our mothers or whoever. And so instead, we simply need people cheering us on and supporting. We don't need to go to that person to say, hey, how did you do this? Let me do it the same way. Because in essence, that just repeats the same old instead of innovating. And so I love that.
Yeah. And one of the things that fascinates me so much is the word mentor. The original mentor is a character from the Odyssey, and he is the substitute father figure that comes in for Odysseus. The whole idea of mentorship is actually based on the father-son relationship in this very hierarchical way. And women kind of said, well, I want to get on that bandwagon too. And I think there's really something for us in questioning, is that the model that makes sense for us and for today? Or what other kinds of alliances really do help us play big and be change agents?
Exactly. So, so good. So, obviously, I think that everybody should go get this book. So you can do that on Amazon. And I know you have some really great gifts for people who pre-order the book.
We do, yeah. If you pre-order before October 13th, you'll also get 3 videos from me. So even before your book comes, you can start thinking about identifying your calling, some of the communication ways of playing bigger that you referred to earlier. And then also we're going to have 2 live Q&A calls with coaching and lots of great delving into the concepts in the book. So I hope to see you on those. And
that ends the October 13th.
October 13th.
So order before October 13th. You can find out all that information at taramohr.com, which is TARAMOHR. I love that your last name is Mohr. Have you ever thought about the significance of that?
Tell me.
Well, obviously it's not spelled the same way, but I do think that our last names can have meaning. And, you really are about playing big, and that's what you're doing. And you are having us step into more. So
I like it.
It's quite apropos.
I like it. Thank you.
So go to taramohr.com, get yourself a copy of Playing Big. And Tara, what you're up to is phenomenal. I'm so happy you sent me this book. I'm so honored to be part of spreading the word. And we all have something to learn from this work. So grab your copy.
That means so much to me coming from you. And thanks for hosting me today.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.